Hello everyone, this is your captain speaking, and today I'm going to show you how to use Thinkorswim like a pro. Thinkorswim is 100% free to use. All you have to do is make a free account with Charles Schwab, and you gain immediate access to this trading platform. When you finally create your very first Thinkorswim account and you log in, it's going to look something like this. Now, this is the paper trading version of Thinkorswim. The only difference is going to be this tab right here. That's the simulated trading. The reason I've chosen to demonstrate this platform on a simulated trading account is because all of the settings are set to default. So this is exactly what it's going to look like for you when you first make an account. So in the upper left-hand corner, it's just going to be your account info, all of the money in your account, and the buying power for your account. Now you're going to have all of these absolutely useless tabs showing up on the left-hand side. And the first thing that I always recommend people do is to just clean this up. So you just delete this gadget, delete this Trader TV. This is absolute garbage. And just leave yourself this Watchlist tab. We're going to play with that later. Now, I want you to take this left-hand tab and I want you to minimize it by clicking on this tab arrow, so that we can focus on what's actually important on Thinkorswim. So the very first tab is the monitor tab. Now before this video, I went ahead and I just opened up a random position on NQ so that you can see what this is going to look like in your activity and positions. So under monitor is activity and positions, and here are all of your current holdings that are going to show up right here. You're going to have your working orders, your filled orders, your canceled orders, and even your rolling strategies, okay? The main thing that you're probably going to be focusing on is just your position statement, which is going to be this area right here, just showing you what your current holdings are, how much they are up or down, etc.
Singing low while I pop a bottle off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa.
Next, you're gonna have this trade icon. This trade icon is basically the way that you can generate the options chain for a given stock. So for example, if we placed Tesla into this chart, we will see the options chain for Tesla. So if we wanted to trade Tesla calls expiring August 29th of 2025, that would be this first tab in the options chain. And here you see all of your different options. I'm going to be doing a separate video where I look extensively into options, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just showing you what the tabs do, how you can gain access to the different parts of Thinkorswim.
You wake up when the alarm goes off. You go to your job. Sorry. Hi, boss.
Next, you're going to have your Analyze tab. This is going to be extremely advanced material. I don't think you're going to be using this very much in the first year or two of your trading. However, there are two tabs within the Analyze tab that I'd like to bring your attention to. The first one is the Fundamentals tab. This is going to show you all of the fundamental information for any stock of your choosing. So let's say we chose Microsoft. It's going to give you what all of the analysts are saying about this stock. And it's going to give you a company profile. And it's going to show you all of the fundamental information, earnings per share, book value per share, cash flow per share, etc. So these are for fundamental traders that like to look at the specifics of a stock before purchasing or shorting such a security. So this is very important information to have. Next, earnings. So earnings, we're also going to put Microsoft just for consistency. It's going to show you how Microsoft did historically on earnings. So if you're ever trying to play earnings, this is a great tab to use because it shows you the historical information for earnings. Now, if you're just getting into trading right now, a lot of this is going to look like, a foreign language to you. And I'm going to be doing additional videos where I dive into the specific concepts behind all of these tabs. But for the purpose of this video, as I said before, we're just going to stick to the basics so that you don't feel overwhelmed.
There's something wrong with you. Me too.
Next is going to be the scan tab. This is going to be scanners that you can use to try and figure out, what types of stocks are meeting your criteria. I believe they have some scanners already included. For example, the top 10% gainers on the NASDAQ. Press scan, and here you go. These are the top 10 gainers on the NASDAQ for today. We have CMMB, AKAN, just a bunch of probably low float, low market cap stocks. As you can see, the second biggest gainer had a $9.9 million market cap. So there's going to be a lot of, different types of names here. But if you're looking to develop your own scanners, that's something that we actually specialize in at Quantum Algo Trading. I'm going to put a link below if you'd like to join our Discord and learn how to do that for yourself. But for now, we're just going to move on to the next tab of Thinkorswim, just so you can kind of get an idea of how this application works. MarketWatch, you're going to have quotes, alerts, visualize, financing rates, and calendar. Now, for your purposes as a new trader, I would really recommend just focusing on the calendar portion of this and maybe also the visualize portion. So the visualize portion is basically going to be a heat map of everything that's going on in the market. So for the S&P 500, as you can see, this is what happened today. All of these areas: information technology, financials, consumer discretionary, communication services, all of these different sectors, and the overall performance within each sector. So for example, today communication services wasn't doing too hot, while industrial seemed to be relatively green. Financials seem to be relatively green. So you can kind of use that to get an idea of what sectors are hot and what sectors are cold. Here you can break it down into each sector, so communication, consumer staples, energy, financials, etc. The calendar, on the other hand, is going to show you everything that's going on each calendar day. So you're going to have earnings, you're going to have conference calls, dividends, and you're even going to have, economic events happening as well. So this is a very cool tool that you can use to just see what's on the agenda for today in terms of, the overall market, any hot events that are going to be happening on that day. So, for example, if you want to see what's going on in the future, tomorrow, August 27th, you're going to have a whole different list of events happening for you to look forward to and maybe try and take advantage of. So for example, I know one of the really big market moving events that's going to be happening tomorrow is NVIDIA earnings happening at 2 p.m. So as you can see right here, NVIDIA earnings happening at 2 p.m., conference call and earnings. This is very valuable information to have for you as a trader to get an idea of everything that's going on in the market. Now, if you only want to have, earnings show up on your calendar, you can modulate that here on the side and uncheck everything else so that the only thing that's on your radar is earnings. So also, if you just wanted to have economic events, you could have that as well. So you can use that and play with that to kind of get an idea of what's happening this week in the market. This next section is probably why all of you are here today, and that section is the charts section. It's going to show you chart settings and give you the ability to start visualizing price action on your screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take it one step at a time, and we're going to start with just the chart itself. Now, when you're looking at this chart screen, you're going to see this black box over here that's going to allow you to put in the ticker symbol that you're looking for. So right now we're looking at Tesla. Let's say we're looking at Microsoft. Let's say we want to look at NVIDIA. You would just put that into the ticker box and press enter. If you wanted to look at Apple, same thing, okay? Now you're going to see here, it's going to say Apple Incorporated. That's just the name of the company for the ticker symbol that you put in, the price that that company is trading at, whether or not that price action is green or red on the day, what the price is at the bid and the ask. Then you're also going to have this share tab. You can press this to share a chart with someone that, you know, you're friends with. Let's say, oh, I'm looking at this Apple chart. I'd like to share this Apple chart with my friend. Well, hey, you can do that. Press share, and then it'll give you a link to share that chart. Next, there's going to be the edit studies. This is going to allow you to edit what studies are showing up on your chart. So if you're brand new to trading, you're probably going to be using something called a simple moving average. So if you're brand new to trading, you're going to have probably some type of simple moving average on your chart. And here, when you double click on that study, you can tailor what parameters that study has. So right now, this is the 9 simple moving average. But if you want to change the length of the simple moving average, you just double click on length and maybe change it to 21. Press apply. And now we have a simple moving average showing up on our chart. There are many different indicators for you to use on Thinkorswim, and one of the main services that we provide as Quantum Algo Trading is high-tech, modified, personalized indicators made by yours truly that you can use to get serious edge in this market. I'm going to put a link below to our store if you'd like to take a look at all of the different indicators that I've made. I even have one in there for free to help you get started. Next, let's take a look at the chart settings. So chart settings are a very personalized thing. I'm going to show you how I have my chart set up if you're interested in copying that. So the first thing is we're going to have this general tab that's going to show you a few different options to choose from. I'm going to focus on what's important in this video. So obviously you want your orders to show and you want your studies to show. And you want to highlight studies when you're hovering above them. You want to have your alerts showing if you decide to set alerts. What does that look like? Well, right click and create an alert. Let's say you want to get an alert every time Apple is above 228.51. Press create. And now next time the market is open and Apple is above 228.51, you'll get a notification, okay? So that's what it means when you're looking at this general tab and says show alerts. If we disabled this, as you can see, that alert would no longer show up. So we want to have those alerts showing at all times, okay? Next, we want to have show trades. This way you can see the trades that you placed during the day. So press apply, press OK. So look, for example, we entered NQ before this video just to show you what it looks like on the chart. And this is what it would look like. You would see where you entered that trade, and you'd be able to use that to get an idea of where you entered and where you would like to exit. Now, let's say I want to exit this trade. I'm going to do so very quickly right now, just to show you, what that would look like on your screen. So if I exit this trade, there you go. It's showing you exactly where you exited, the price average of where you exited. So we entered at 23,605 and we exited at 23,606. Okay, so now we're going to have overlap volume selected because I'm going to show you a trick to have a much better option for volume. So we're going to have overlap volume on. price axis, we're gonna have this set to auto, and we're gonna have it fit studies and fit study markers. For the time axis, we're going to remove rollover lines, remove expiration Friday, remove year marking lines, okay? And we're just gonna press apply. Next, we have time frames. So all of the time frames that you're gonna be using to trade, for example, the 1, the 5, the 10-minute time frame, those are gonna be accessible in this interface. So for example, when I wanna look at the 15-minute chart, I click on this area that says 5M, and I click on 15 minutes. And now I'm looking at the 15-minute chart. Each candle on this chart is 15 minutes, okay? So here, this candle opened at 12:45 and it closed at 13 or 1 o'clock, right? And you can use this to get an idea of how stocks are progressing amongst different time periods. So if you're swing trading, you might want to have something called a daily chart showing up, where every single candle represents 1 day of price action. As you can see, every single candle was 1 full day of price action. So this candle was on 8-1, this candle was on 8-4, this candle was on 8-5, 8-6. And the reason why I jumped from 8-1 to 8-4 is because, weekends, this market is not open. So that's kind of a little bit about time frames. And, if you want to get fancy, you can also go ahead and customize your time frames by going through your favorite time frames and adding new time frames. I don't recommend you do this in the beginning. I think the time frames that are automatically included in Thinkorswim are more than enough for what you're going to be needing. The 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, and weekly are more than enough for beginner traders. But if you want to add a time frame, you just press add time frame, and then you can go ahead and click on specific types of time frames. So for example, let's say you wanted to have the 2-minute chart. Okay, so now this is the 2-minute time frame, time interval 1 day. Press add. You can drag that up underneath your 1 minute, press apply, and now every time we want to look at the 2-minute chart, it's going to show up under that time frame section. Click the time frame of your selection, and you have the 2-minute chart on your screen. So next, appearance. Appearance is really big, in my opinion. It's going to have a huge impact on your trading, on your psychology while you're trading. And so I'm going to help you set up your chart in a way that looks visually appealing. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to do fill up and fill down, checked. Okay. And we're going to change the border color of all of these to white. So border up, border down, and doji, all white. Then we're going to go to grid, and we're going to eliminate grid. We don't want a grid. We're going to also go to background, and we're going to change that to the blackest black available. And for the volume bars, we're going to go and we're going to change that to the blackest black available. We're going to press apply. And now you can see this hack that I made that allows you to use your own volume indicator to put on the chart, which, by the way, we have one in our store that's completely free for you to use. That is a far better version of the Thinkorswim volume indicator. If you want to pick up your free indicator, just head on over to our website, wegotalgos.com, click on store, trading software. Here you're going to see all the different indicators that I have for sale. And all the way at the bottom is your free quantum volume indicator. Just click, add to cart, check out, $0, and you're good to go. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you install the free indicator from our store. So you're going to go to the Studies tab, and you're going to look for the quantum volume indicator, and you're going to add that to your list of indicators, and you're going to press apply, and it's going to look something like this. And this is going to be a much better version of the volume indicator because it's going to show you the difference between buyers and sellers for each candle. As you can see on this candle, very important to see that there were majority buyers, very few sellers, and that was probably partially responsible for the continuation of the move up. Equities. In your chart settings tab, we just went over appearance. Now we're going to do equities. Equities, I want you to disable corporate actions, and I also want you to go ahead and eliminate this highlight extended hours trading session. I consider it to be very distracting, but you know, everyone has their own way of doing things. The reason I'm telling you to uncheck that highlighted section is because it's going to show up in a different color for your whole chart just because the market is closed during that time. I find that to be visually disorienting. Options, futures, and Forex, we're going to not touch. We're not even going to talk about these tabs because they're far too advanced to discuss in a beginner video like this one, okay? So we're going to press apply and press OK. So now we have completely covered the chart settings portion of this video that shows you how I have my chart set up in terms of appearance and in terms of overall chart settings. Obviously, all of my indicators are not showing up on this chart. The only indicator that's showing up on this chart that's an indicator that I created is the quantum volume indicator. Here you also have your simple moving average, which is, you know, a beginner's indicator that is not very reliable in my opinion, but it's probably one of the indicators that you've heard people talk about and probably one of the indicators that you're using right now. If you want to use other indicators too, they have many different indicators for you to choose from. Another fan favorite of the retail space is the MACD. Add selected, press apply, and you can have your MACD indicator on the chart. Again, this is not something that I personally use. All of these very well-known indicators are normally used against retail by market makers, which is why I made personalized, specialized, advanced, modified indicators that nobody is looking at, and that's probably the reason why they work so well. Next, I want to talk about something called the drawings section and the style section, okay? So first off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this simple moving average. I'm going to remove this, and I'm also going to remove this open interest study that was automatically added onto the chart when we first booted up. I'm going to press apply, and it's just going to make everything a lot cleaner. And we're going to go over to style. And what I want you to know about style is that there are these two main sections that are going to be very important. The first one is going to be chart mode. And this is basically going to show you different types of charts that you can use on your screen. So right now we're looking at a standard chart. Here's what a monkey bars chart would look like. You're probably not going to be using this when you first start trading, but this is actually something that institutions like to use. Also, you're going to have the monkey bars expanded, and you're going to have the seasonality chart. Now, this chart I think is kind of cool to use because it shows you what happens on average during this time of the year versus what's happening right now. So this is what's happening right now, this blue line, and this red line is what normally happens around this time of the year. As we can see, we're coming across a seasonally bearish period of the year as we go into September and October. Up until now, seasonality has been kind of on point. We had this, pump up in February, which is pretty normal. And then we had this dump in February, which is also pretty normal. And then we had this recovery sequence, which is also pretty normal. And so everything is kind of going as planned right now. Now, you don't have to look at seasonality only for NQ. You could look at seasonality for anything. So, for example, here's the seasonality of Tesla. Here's the seasonality of Microsoft. Here's the seasonality of NVIDIA, and so on and so forth. So you can absolutely use the seasonality style of charting to get an idea of what's happening during this time of the year using Thinkorswim. Now, when you're ready to go back to your regular bar chart, you would just click on standard and it'll take you right back to that. Also, I want you to look at this other section called chart type. So right now we're looking at a traditional Japanese candle chart. But there are other types of charts that people like to use. For example, this is what a bar chart would look like. This is what a candle trend chart would look like. This is what a Heiken Ashi chart would look like. This is what a line chart would look like, area. And then we have the equi-volume chart. The main chart that I always use is the standard candle chart. So that's always going to be what I'm using when trading using Thinkorswim. Okay. Now, if you like this chart layout, you can save this style. So we can save this style and call it Quantum Algo Style. Save. So now, every time you open up a new chart, you can load up this layout. So for example, if we went to this flexible grid and we wanted to add a new chart, okay, so let's add the Tesla chart here. Oh no, this looks nothing like what we just made. Oh, good thing we saved that style. And now it looks just like what we had, okay? So that is a way that you can save the style of chart so that you don't have to continuously re-update all of the settings in the Appearance tab for chart settings, okay? I'm not gonna talk too much about flexible grids in this video, but just know that there's an option to have multiple charts simultaneously on your screen, and you can do that by having a flexible grid. So let's say you're on this flexible grid and you're saying, okay, I just want to have two charts. I want to have on top, I want to have Tesla, and on the bottom, I want to have SPY. So here, same thing. Okay, let's load up the style that we had previously. Okay, so now on the top, we have Tesla, and on the bottom, we have SPY. Okay, now let's say you want to add another one to the right of this chart. You would click on this icon right here, and it would open up a new box for you to put in, let's say QQQ. Okay, same thing here. We want that same style we had before, Quantum Algo style. Boom, there you have it. So this is a great way for you to easily replicate an existing chart style that you've been using when opening up additional components to a grid. But when you're first starting out, you're just gonna have one chart, and it's just gonna be whatever chart you're currently trading. Now, here we have this drawings section, and you have a variety of different drawing tools to choose from. So many of you are going to be trendline traders. So for example, we have this trendline icon, but I'm going to go through a few of the more important ones in this video. So pan, if you click on pan, it's going to allow you to move around the chart like this without having to constantly zoom in and out of different parts of the chart. This is very similar to the way TradingView has their chart set up. And so if you're looking to just kind of pan around your chart, this is the way to do it. Going back to drawing tools, icon, this is classic. So now when I click down on icon, it's not panning it, it's gonna give me the ability to zoom in a specific section. Next, we have trend line. So many of you are gonna be trend line traders. We're gonna have this trend line right here that we just drew. Okay, how did we draw it? We clicked where we wanted the beginning of that trend line to be, and then we clicked again on where we wanted that trend line to end, okay? Let's say you want to modify that trend line. Okay, you go back to drawing tools. Now we're going to press on that icon again. And now we can click on that trend line and move it up and down. And we can even change the properties of that trend line by double clicking on it like I just did and changing the style. We can change the width. So let's say we want a super thick dashed line and we want it to be blue. Okay, cool. There you have it, super thick blue dashed line, okay? And you can modify all of your drawings by double clicking on them. So let's say we wanted to modify this drawing, we'll double click on it. Let's say we wanna have just a regular line, but we wanna have it maximum width and we want the color to be yellow. Okay, press okay, and there you have it. So that's what that would look like. Now let's say you're tired of these drawings, you can just click on that drawing and press delete, or press remove drawing by right clicking on it. Either will work. Another drawing that you can use that I use on a regular basis is the price level drawing. So you can click on that and you can use that to create a horizontal price level that you can always look at. So in this case, we just made this horizontal price level on NVIDIA at 181.76. This feels like a nice solid level of support. I'm gonna go back to drawings. We're gonna go to drawing tools. We're gonna go back to the cursor icon, and this is gonna allow us to click on that, move it around. And what's nice is this is always gonna be a horizontal line, okay? And now we can double click on that and we can change the width. We can actually even change the name. So we can call this Mega Support, okay? Press okay. And now every time we click on that, we're gonna see that this is called Mega Support. Now let's say you wanna see that show up on your chart. I wanna know what that line is called. You go to show name, you can choose where it's gonna show up. So in this case, we're gonna have it show up on the right. Okay, press okay. And now this support level is always gonna show up on our chart as Mega Support. Now let's say you just wanna clear your screen of all of your drawings. You can just go to right click on that chart and press clear drawing set, press yes, and all of the drawings are gone. Now, one other drawing tool that I like to use is the text note. So the text note gives you the ability to have actual notes on your charts. Let's just say, you know, high of day. Press OK. And now we have this high of day. So remember, we always have to go back to that cursor icon to be able to move it. And now we can click on that high of day and move it up here. And now we know, okay, that was the high of day right there. Okay, so that's just a few of the different drawings that you can use on Thinkorswim. There are many more drawings, and I'll probably do videos in the future going into what all of these drawings do. Next, I want us to go to studies and just look at different study sets that you can make. So let's say, for example, we want to have a study set with our quantum volume, and we also want to have, let's say the money flow index, okay? So here we have the money flow index, also called the MFI. This is a pretty popular retail indicator, and we want to have that show up on our chart together with the quantum volume, okay? So we would go to studies, and we would do save study set, and we would call this MFI volume. And we're gonna press save. Okay, so now, you know, let's say we pull up another chart and we wanna have that study always show up. So I'll show you. I can erase all of this, press apply, go to studies, load that study set called MFI volume, and that's gonna show up right on the chart. Okay, and you can set up many different study sets so that you don't always have to constantly be deleting, adding all these different indicators to your chart, right? So remember, adding an indicator is easy. Let's say we wanted to add that MACD again, just put in MACD, add selected, press apply, okay? So, okay, now we want to create a study set that has the volume, the MFI, and the MACD. Okay, let's do a new study set. MFI volume and MACD this time, press save. So look, here's what happens when we have the MFI and volume study set. But now, if we do load study set, MFI, volume, MACD, all three pop up. So you can use this to get organized with all of your indicators and studies on your chart. Next, if we want to delete a study set, we don't want that anymore. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and delete the MFI volume study set. So now that's no longer going to be available on our load study set. Right now it's just that MFI, volume, and MACD. Next, I want to talk about patterns. So one of the cool things that Thinkorswim has is the ability to automatically identify certain chart patterns emerging at all times. So we can select the patterns that we want. So let's say we always want to see double bottoms. Press OK. So now every time there's a double bottom, it's going to show up on the chart. So let's see if we can find an example of where a double bottom got activated on the chart. So it looks like there are no examples of this double bottom popping up. So let's just go ahead and select another one that's probably going to show up instead. So let's do maybe an ascending triangle. Okay, press apply. And let's see, oh, look, right over here, there's an ascending triangle that began to emerge. Let's see if we can go to a different time frame and see if any other ascending triangles emerge. So here, boom, automatically an ascending triangle emerged on NVIDIA, and it'll show up on your chart showing you, hey, look, an ascending triangle is forming. This is what that looks like. This is kind of cool if you're new to trading and you want AI to be automatically showing you chart patterns as they are happening. As you get more advanced, you might find this to be kind of annoying because you already know what these chart patterns look like and you'd rather draw them out yourself. If you want to deactivate all of these patterns, you just go ahead, select patterns, press X, press apply, and now all of that's going to be removed from your chart.
I did it. Mwah!
So now I want to talk about what I consider to be the most important component of the Thinkorswim interface, and that's going to be this panel on the right-hand side, starting with trade. The reason for this is because this is going to be responsible for trade executions. Up until now, we've just been talking about charting. We haven't been talking about actually placing these trades. So now we're going to talk about placing trades. So if you click on that trade tab, it's going to open up this option to buy or sell market order of stock. So if you're a beginner, this is very simple to understand. If you want to buy, you press buy market. If you want to sell, press sell market. Now, obviously there are different types of buy and sell orders, and I'm not going to cover that in this video. I'm just going to show you more conceptually where you can buy and sell in Thinkorswim. So this is one of those places. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of just a quick trade. So I just bought one futures contract of NQ, and if I want to sell that futures contract, just press sell market, and that sells the futures contract. Okay, now there's this tab here called time and sales, or TNS as it is abbreviated here. Now what time and sales is basically a documentation of every single order that's hitting the tape right now. So there are, constantly transactions going through in the marketplace of buy and sell orders. You can see them all in the TNS tab. Then we have something called the active trader tab. Now notice as I'm opening up all these tabs, they are piling on top of each other. If you don't want all of these tabs to pile on top of each other, you can deactivate tabs. So for example, we're not going to need this trade tab anymore. So we're going to unclick that. And we also don't want this TNS right now. So I'm going to unclick that. Now we're just looking at the chart and something called the active trader tab. This is a tab that I use very frequently. And the reason I like to use it is because it shows a live view of all of the buyers and sellers in the market right now. So these are the buyers. This is the highest price that buyers are willing to pay. And this is the lowest price that sellers are willing to sell for. And this is going to constantly move up and down throughout the day. Now, if you'd like to place a limit order, meaning an order that only gets filled at a specific price that you set it at, and you won't get filled until price hits that level, you would go to the active trader ladder and you would find the price that you want to buy at. So let's just say hypothetically, we want to buy at 23,616.50, okay? And now we're gonna wait to get filled. Let's see if we get filled. Okay, perfect, we just got filled. And now we wanna exit this trade. So let's go ahead and exit the trade, at 23,616.50 again. Now, I have no idea if market's just gonna knife because this was a random trade. But in theory, price would eventually come back to this level and we would get filled on the ask. Okay, so originally when we first placed that order, we placed it on the bid at 23,616.50, and now we're placing the sell order at the ask at 23,616.50, right? And so that would be the idea of how to use the active trader ladder to enter and exit trades. So there you have it. We just got filled on the sell side, and that would be a complete trade made using the active trader ladder. Then we also have buttons. So buttons is kind of similar to trade, but just kind of a different layout. Just depends on what you like in terms of formatting. Now, trade, active trader, and buttons all kind of do the same thing, just in slightly different ways. So you choose what suits you best in terms of your style. Chart, we're looking at a chart right now. If we unclick that, it's going to take away the charts. We always want to make sure that the chart is enabled. Here is option chain. So if we want to buy options on the security that we're looking at, we would click on option chain. So, NQ, not a great example for this, but something like Microsoft would be a great example. If you're looking to buy calls on Microsoft, today is, August 26th. So if we're looking to buy calls on Microsoft, we would go ahead and look at, what day we want to buy those calls for. So let's just say theoretically, we think Microsoft's going to go up to 505. So we go ahead and look at 505 calls for Microsoft expiring, on the 29th. And we would place an order using the options chain tab. So if we wanted to buy these calls, we'd go ahead and click on these calls. And you can go ahead and press buy and buy, a single type order for these calls. And now we have a buy order set for 10 of those calls. Now I'm going to be doing another video that really goes into detail for the options contract component of Thinkorswim. But remember, this is more of a conceptual video to just show you how each section works, why each section exists, etc. Then we have something called the dashboard. Now this dashboard, again, is kind of similar to the buttons and the trade tab. Okay, and then we have level 2. This is probably something you've heard of, and if not, I'll explain it to you quickly here. So level 2 basically shows you what the highest bid and lowest ask is across different exchanges at different times. And you can kind of use level 2 to get an understanding of true demand and if there are aggressive buyers and sellers in the market. This is something that I could easily do an entire video on. So I'm just going to give you kind of this overview of what it looks like. Here we have all of these different exchanges and the bids and the asks across all of those different exchanges. And then I'm just going to go ahead and close out of all of these other tabs. We have this news tab, which shows you all of the news events that are happening for, the stock that you're looking at. So for Microsoft, all of these news articles have some sort of mention of Microsoft in them. And so they're showing up in the feed under Microsoft. If we changed it to Apple, you would see news events that are related to Apple. Okay. It's just whatever is being tagged with, the ticker symbol that you're looking at. If this news article has that ticker symbol as a tag, it's going to show up under the news section.
Yes.
Bogdanov, he did it.
He bought.
He went all in.
Dump it.
Good afternoon.
Now the tools, education, and help tabs are of little value, but what I do consider to be important is this setup tab in the top right-hand corner. You go to application settings. I'm going to show you a few cool tricks that you can use to make your experience better. First of all, I leave account, orders, positions, active trader alone. But under system, under quote speed, normally the default is moderate, which means there's going to be a 3-second lag every time you use Thinkorswim. So you need to definitely change that to real time and make sure you apply those settings. Okay, so under look and feel, I have it under dark. You can also have light, old school, TOS, Chinese dark, Chinese light, SSE light, etc. But I just have dark. And then I also normally enable high contrast. So as you can see, high contrast will make it easier to see. And then font size, I have medium. And I think the default is small. So medium will make it easier for you to see, especially if you're on a smaller screen. But just in general, it's nice to have a bigger font size. And spacing normal. Menus for navigation tabs, I have show. Display, default. Calculations, default. Language, default. If you speak a different language and you don't speak English, you might want to change this part. Notifications. These are going to be, the notifications that you receive and how you receive those notifications. So if you'd like to have all of these notifications emailed to you, that is an option here. I leave all of this alone. Hotkeys. If you want to use hotkeys to place certain actions on your Thinkorswim, make sure that those are enabled and that you know what those hotkeys are. I've seen a lot of people accidentally place orders because they weren't aware of the hotkeys that were enabled. So if you don't want to accidentally place any trades and you're happy placing trades with your mouse, make sure that you turn off all of these hotkeys so that you're not accidentally messing around with anything. And then in your profile settings, press apply, and we're done with that.
Even if you try so hard, we're never gonna get this far. We're never gonna get this far. Trust me. And even if you try so
all that's left now is this left-hand, drop-down menu. So right now it's showing watch lists. So let's say, I want to add a watch list. I can create a watch list and we can name this watch list, tech stocks. And I can add symbols that it's always going to watch. So Microsoft, Tesla, press save. And they're going to show up here under that watch list. And I'll be able to keep track of the prices of those symbols throughout the day. Now there are other gadgets that you can add here, like, Trader TV. If you want to watch, some sort of Thinkorswim live stream that goes on about what's going on in the market, like their version of CNBC or something. Live news, live audio, level 2. But I normally just use this section for watch lists, and I can create multiple watch lists that have, different categories. So, if I want one watch list for tech stocks, let's make another watch list and we'll call it indices. And this way I can take a look at what's going on SPY, and I can take a look at what's going on QQQ, and etc. And now you have these two watch lists that you can go through just to have an idea of what's going on in the market. So that's really what I use that section for. If you're new to trading, you're looking for some structure, some guidance, a mentor that's going to hold your hand and show you the ropes, I highly recommend joining our trading community. You can try 10 days for free by using promo code FREE. I will personally greet you and make sure that you're taken care of once you're part of our team. And all of the energy that you put into your journey as a trader, I will reciprocate right back to you, because once upon a time, I was in your shoes. I was in a career I hated, in a job I hated. I wasn't making the kind of money that I wanted to make. And I did everything it took to get into the position that I am today to be a full-time trader. So if this is something that you want to do and you're looking to either make this a full-time career or create a passive revenue of income while you try to figure out a way to get out of that job, this trading community is going to help you get onto that path.